13 days ago, it looked like Lionel Messi was leaving Barcelona.
Lionel Messi dominating the headlines everywhere with this breaking news that he has told the club he wants out, and it could be for free because it's going to be an extension of that out clause that we knew that he had earlier on in the season.
But then this past Friday, he changed his mind.
Live on the transfer show that Lionel Messi has confirmed now what we've been saying for the last couple of hours, that he will be staying at Barcelona.
In an exclusive interview with Goal, Messi said that he didn't want to get into a legal battle with the club and that Barca wouldn't let him leave unless someone paid his €700 million release clause.
Y bueno, ese es el motivo por el cual voy a seguir en el club, porque él me dijo que la única manera de salir era pagar la cláusula, que eso es imposible, obviamente. Y si no, ir a juicio.
However, many pundits have assumed that this is a good outcome for Barcelona, that they've quote-unquote won the battle.
Because it does seem like a win for La Liga and Barcelona in what was a battle between two sides, it seems.
But did Barcelona actually come out as winners in this transfer saga? Before Messi made his decision on Friday, we spoke with the Athletic's La Liga correspondent, Dermot Corrigan, to make the case for why Barcelona would have been better off selling Messi rather than keeping him. This is our conversation from last Thursday. So emotionally, what has it been like for you covering this transfer saga over the course of the last couple of weeks?
It's a good question. It's been very strange. It's definitely been the most unusual transfer story that I've done. And I'm not a Barca fan, but I'm a big football fan, and I have covered Spanish football for about 10 years now. So I've seen so much of Messi, and a lot of the most exciting moments of the job, or just the parts of you as a football fan that you've so much enjoyed. A lot of it has been, watching Messi do some amazing things, whether it's score goals against last minute goals in Clásicos or solo goals in Copa del Rey finals. And for him not to be there, and also to have covered, when the Barca team have lost as well, and when you've seen him down. So it's very sad, really, in a way. Like, it's unfortunate the way that it's happening. And I also have some good friends who are Barca fans, both within Catalonia, I guess, and in Ireland as well. And that, so it's been weird. It's been tiring. There's been a few late nights, a bit of traveling involved as well. But it's been exciting as well, for sure.
Yeah, you were in Barcelona just yesterday. What was that like?
That was very strange. I have a story on The Athletic that's going to be going up soon, hopefully, about that, just to see what it was like in the city, because it was such a weird day, because, Jorge Messi arrived and everybody knew, and the reporters were chasing him around and trying to find out where he was having lunch, what he was having for lunch.
If you're going to go into some talks that might last for quite a long time, what you have to eat to keep your energy up, well, I'll tell you exactly what Jorge had to eat. He had to start with some rigatoni pasta, then nice sounding garlic parmesan eggplant bake with some nice truffles, and only water. So no wine, nothing to celebrate just yet.
I wasn't doing that part of it. I was just trying to talk to different people, both that, went to the club shop, went to the restaurant that the Messis used to run to see what that looked like as well, which ended up being quite strange because it's shut down now and kind of derelict looking. And just around the city, life goes on as well in a way. It's not like football and Lionel Messi is the only thing, but it was everybody was talking about it. Even some people brought it up in conversation before. I was trying to do that reporter thing where you talk to the taxi driver and ask him, which is a little bit of a cliche, but that's what we end up doing. And it just came up in conversation anyway. So the mood in the city was quite strange, especially with all that's going on with the virus and everything. There's not the same amount of tourists either. So the club shop was very empty, both the one at the stadium and the one inside in the city, and just going around talking to people. It was kind of a gloomy, melancholy type of a mood around it. Again, as somebody who's so involved in the story from a professional point of view and a little bit from an emotional point of view as well, maybe my own feelings run into that a bit. But the idea I had was that the people were just not happy that Messi was going to go. No matter what happens now, there can't be a happy ending to this story.
Before we make the case for Barcelona selling Messi, I think it's important to look at his worth, because that kind of informs what we'll talk about momentarily. How much would or could Barcelona sell him for should that happen? It seems highly unlikely at this point that he would be able to leave for free.
His buyout clause of €700 million was, I guess, put into his contract to, as far as possible, ensure that nobody could ever come and buy him. That was a couple of years ago when he, was a couple of years younger, and also before the coronavirus came in, and also before any buyers knew about Barcelona's financial situation as well. You could argue that the 100 million that Cristiano Ronaldo was sold for to Juventus works as a benchmark. He was the same age as Messi, I'm pretty sure, when he left Madrid to go to Juventus. 100 million didn't seem a bad price at that stage, either for Madrid to get 100 million or for Juventus to pay. It seemed, maybe looking back now, but it seemed at the time a fair price. Maybe Messi, you could argue was worth a little bit more or not. I don't know, but that as a benchmark, that doesn't seem that bad to me.
I think we need to break down the reasons that Barcelona might want to sell him into three categories, and that would be financial, on the pitch, and then off the pitch. So let's start with the financial reasons first off. Financially, why might Barcelona want to sell their best ever player, Messi?
Well, that's quite simple one, is that Barca are in serious financial problems. Both the club itself has long-term debts, which are maybe not such a big problem or an immediate problem, and it also just has the fact that the revenues have dropped so spectacularly because of the COVID crisis. Even before everything stopped and the lockdown and people stopped being able to pay to go to games, or to a lot of people stopped buying merchandise, Barca did have financial problems. They were always kind of selling players in order to fix a hole in your accounts. And if you're selling, I'm not an accountant, but if you're selling kind of fixed assets in order to deal with a revenue shortfall, then you can't keep doing that forever. That's a serious problem. Another reason is that the board themselves, the directors themselves, and you get into a legal battle over this, but under a certain reading of the Barcelona statutes, the directors on the board can be held responsible for losses at the end of their term. So you could say it's bad luck on them. To the current board are going to leave over the next 12 months at some stage, and if that point coincides with a global pandemic and the revenues have been cut, that's pretty harsh on them. But you could get into legal battles. They could be held legally responsible and have to try to pay back the money that as a director you're supposed to have deposited or guaranteed that you will financially look after the club. So were they to be able to get, and might take a little bit more than the 100 million we were talking about, but were they to get something like 200 million, they could fill that gap. They wouldn't have to pay Messi 100 million in wages between the wages he gets and the taxes that they pay to the Spanish state. So, that's a pretty clear financial incentive for the people running the club to try to cash in on their biggest asset at the moment.
So they were already in a bad state financially kind of before COVID hit, and then COVID hit and made it worse. And I think I saw in one of your pieces that they're expecting around 300 million euros in drop in revenue, a decrease in revenue. So this could kind of make up for that, and then make up for not just that, but the issues they were having financially even before COVID happened.
Yeah, that figure comes from Bartomeu himself when he was speaking to Barca TV, when he outlined the time when he said, that they were going to have to move on a lot of their older players.
But the news coming out of Catalonia now is that their entire squad, bar Ter Stegen, Longley, De Jong and Messi, are up for sale. Yes, that's right, Barcelona publication Sports claimed that the players previously seen as untouchable, such as Piqué, Busquets, Jordi Alba and Luis Suarez, could all leave this summer in an attempt to raise funds necessary for the rebuild.
And the idea was that they were the ones who were going to be able to help the club, or help him to be able to fix the problems in their accounts. He was very clear, as Bartomeu has always been very clear, and the club are still, when you ask, as a reporter, if you ask the club now, what's the situation, they say, we don't want to sell Messi. But were they to sell Messi and were they to be able to get in a lot of money for him, it would for sure help with those problems.
If they didn't sell Messi, would it still be possible for them to balance the books in a non-destructive way almost?
It's very hard to see how they would be able to do that, because unless they had to do something like start to sell Ter Stegen or De Jong, or there are some players at Barcelona who, the couple of very good signings that they've made over the last couple of years, or the signings who have retained their value, they're the type of people. But nobody wants to sell Messi either, but the club have said that these are the guys you want to build around for the future. Just getting rid of Suarez and Arturo Vidal, maybe Junior Firpo, you move out, you sell a couple of the younger players in the squad, even Nelson Semedo. You can make cases why maybe selling those players might be good for the club or might make financial sense, but it's not really going to be enough to fix the big problems that they have without either Messi or ripping out the centre of their future team as well.
You mentioned a moment ago that Barcelona pays Messi around 100 million euros every year in, wages, bonuses, and other fees. Is there any way that he can kind of provide enough value on the pitch to justify that? I mean, no one else, is paid that much money in world football, and for a reason.
Yeah, on the pitch, probably not. It's very difficult you get into conversations around, no player is worth that. Or ever since, I remember when I sound like an old guy now, but 20 years ago, people said like, how is a player worth 10 million? Or who can justify these wages that they're on? And I guess the idea is that if they score enough goals, they win enough games, if they get enough fans to support the club, then you monetize it in that way. And you could argue that Messi is, maybe we're going to find out, but it's very difficult to know how to convert the on-pitch success into commercial success. What the relationship between that is, I don't think anybody really has a formula for it. I spoke to a couple of kind of sports business experts to try and find out what kind of percentage of Barca's commercial revenues comes from Messi, or whether they make so much money off the pitch because they have Messi, or if Messi were to leave, instead of buying a jersey with Messi 10 on the back, that they would instead buy a Frankie de Jong jersey, or Griezmann, or Coutinho, or whoever. And nobody really knows. What we do know is that the vast majority of the jerseys that Barca sell are Messi jerseys. You just have to kind of look around the stadium on match day, or the streets as we go about our daily lives, to see that an awful lot of the Barca jerseys have Messi on the back. Whether those people would have bought another jersey or not, nobody knows it, but maybe Barca will find out.
The one other thing that we should mention, because of COVID, is because no one can go to games, at least for the foreseeable future. I mean, we'll find out if slowly over time fans can come back to the stadiums. But, at least on the positive side, they're not going to get any less fans, I guess, because of Messi not being there, at least this season, you would think.
That is fair to say. No matter which club it is, or no matter who's playing for them, it balances it out a bit. Leganés are going to make as much from gate receipts in the second division this season as Barca will make in the first division in Spain, if there's no big change in the situation, which looks very unlikely this season. So I guess from that point of view, gates are being ruled out. People have come from all over the world to see Messi for sure at the Camp Nou, and have paid a lot for the VIP packages. It's kind of been like a once in a lifetime experience for a lot of people, and that is out of the question for now. And for a long time, maybe it will be for the rest of Messi's career. You could possibly argue that it's unlikely for so many thousands of people to be flying around the world to see Messi. So yeah, as you say, whether he stays or goes, Barca are going to have to forego that income, and that makes it even more important for them to sell him, you could argue.
I think you brought up a good point earlier mentioning Cristiano Ronaldo, because I think he kind of informs this conversation a great deal. Deloitte recently released their annual Football Money League report, and in it revealed that Real actually made 8 million more euros last year in revenue than the season before Ronaldo left. So, obviously that's a little bit difficult to say, because obviously there's a big transfer fee in there. But to me, it also kind of suggests that Barcelona might be able to generate similar revenue without him. What does Ronaldo's departure from Madrid tell us about Messi's possible departure from Barcelona?
Yeah, I guess Madrid have continued to win. They bombed out of the Champions League in the first season without Ronaldo, and didn't do so well in La Liga either. But this season they have come back, and they lost to City, but that was no disgrace. And then they were much better than a Barca team, even with Messi in it, and went on to win the La Liga title quite easily. Also, these things happen over long term. Madrid had already got their shirt sponsor, their kit deal, all of those things. A lot of the commercial deals were already in place. Were signed when Ronaldo was there, and they're over a certain number of years. So just because, if they have a deal with a certain sponsor and Ronaldo leaves, it doesn't mean that sponsor can then withdraw from the deal. I don't think that there were any contracts, or to the best of my knowledge, there weren't any contracts that said, we will be your sponsor in China, but only if Ronaldo's in the team. They kept earning that money. Barca, similarly, you would imagine their kit deal is over 10 years with Nike, so they should be, and that's maybe 7 years or so left to go. So that's a big deal, and there's a lot left on it, so they're going to be okay with that. Barca have to renegotiate their shirt sponsorship deal with Rakuten, and their kit deal with Beko as well. But again, it should be possible over the longer term to make up for it, or there shouldn't be a huge fall off in the amount of money that they get. And the Madrid example does suggest that it is possible to that there is still life after the big star leaves.
Are you a fan of football today? Then why not support the show and sign up to our new Patreon page? You'll get access to bonus episodes, full interviews, and extra content. Just go on Patreon and search Football Today. Now, back to the episode. So let's talk about Messi's game on the pitch. Messi last season had more than 20 goals and 20 assists in the league and is clearly still the best player in La Liga, even if he didn't win Player of the Year. From Barcelona's point of view, with rose-tinted glasses, how might his departure help them on the pitch?
That is another super interesting thing to think about, because it is definitely true that Messi is was by far Barca's best player, scored, more goals, made more assists in the league, and up until the coronavirus hit, he was by far the outstanding player in the league. By the end of the season, you could argue that Benzema was more important in firing Madrid to the title. But you can argue it if you want that Benzema, came out of the shadow of Cristiano Ronaldo, that he has had his best seasons for Madrid since Ronaldo left. And he had previously done a lot of work, to facilitate Ronaldo, especially the way Benzema plays, that comes deep, so intelligent with his movement, with his link-up play, and it allowed Ronaldo to score so many goals. There's a lot of players at Barcelona who have been in Messi's shadow for a long time, and everybody in the Messi team just always looks to him to pass the ball. It's the first thing that they think to do. Even somebody like Frankie de Jong, who came into the team with a great reputation as a super player, super confident guy, a lot of confidence in his own ability and his own ability to run a game or to make the decisions on the pitch for what's best for the team. He's spoken about how it's just impossible. The first thing that you do is wonder where Messi is, or look to try to get the ball to Messi, because he's Messi and he's going to do a better job than you are. All the players are sure of that. Even in some of the bigger games, you see players don't shoot themselves. They look to try to pass it back to Messi instead, and maybe if they did shoot, it would be better. So I'm not going to sit here and argue that you take Messi out of Barca's team and they're going to be better. But I would say that the players who are there, and maybe Coutinho comes back, Dembele gets fit, Griezmann has another season in the team, these guys are likely to be more effective for Barcelona. Personally, maybe without Messi, again, it's very difficult for me to say that anybody is better, or you think that maybe Messi is going to set them up for a lot of chances as well. But in order for them to come out of their skins and to really impose themselves as Barcelona players, maybe they would, on some level, prefer it if Messi was no longer there and they had to step up and take the responsibility themselves.
Yeah, I think there's a good quote from Luka Modric from just yesterday. We're recording this on Thursday, where he said, other players will become stars. And he was talking about after Cristiano left, that was kind of what happened at Madrid, is other people stepped up, without him.
Yeah, for sure. I remember when Cristiano left, that line was around as well, or that was kind of almost what the club's press department had decided was going to be the message, it seemed to me anyway, because so many of the players came out and said more or less the same thing afterwards. But, these are guys with huge egos, really. If you get to that level and you're playing for Barcelona or Real Madrid, you want to be the best, or you want to be the superstar, and being in somebody's shadow, I think Madrid's players were mostly very grateful for what they had won, or for Ronaldo's contribution to all the things that they had won. But on another level, somewhere inside themselves was going like, maybe now I can take the free kicks, or maybe now I'm going to get more chances to shine myself. And, some of the players at least have gone on and done that.
And there is the full-time whistle. And of course you focus on Bayern Munich, who have scored 8 goals, and Hansi Flick will celebrate. 2 for Muller, 2 for Coutinho, and goals for Perisic, Gnabry, Kimmich, and of course Robert Lewandowski. But it was an embarrassing night for Barcelona. A weak capitulation here in Lisbon in the Champions League, and the ramifications and the repercussions will be loud and long. It's a long way back for a very proud club.
Something that I've seen on social media is how, one of the reasons that Barca struggles in the Champions League, at least in recent seasons, is because Messi doesn't really defend as much, and that you're effectively playing kind of 10 versus 11 on defense, which of course against, the best teams in the world is problematic. How much weight would you give that argument?
Yeah, I think it's a fair argument to make. It is more difficult, especially at the very top level of the game, where the teams are kind of like systems now, that everybody, or a lot of the best teams are, everybody is reliant on each other. One person moves here, the other guy has to move here. They've pre-rehearsed a lot of their moves, or at least they've worked in training on how they are going to, both in winning the ball back and in then attacking against the team. So obviously if you're playing against Barcelona and you have a fair idea that Messi, from time to time, he will sprint to try and press somebody and win the ball back if he sees a an excellent opportunity to win it back and get in for a goal himself. But systematically, he's more likely to stroll around and to be watching, to be ready for the next chance that he has to attack. So teams will try to exploit that. I would say that Ivan Rakitic did an amazing job in the Barca team for a couple of years, covering the ground to help the team to be able to deal with that. But, Barca's right back, whether it's been Sergio Roberto or Semedo in recent seasons, with Messi in front of him, has had a lot of trouble. Semedo was really taken apart by Alphonso Davies in the Bayern game against Liverpool the previous season. It didn't go well for them in that area of the pitch as well. And, opposition coaches, of course, they're going to try and target the weaknesses in your team. And it's not just that Messi's not closing down the centre back or the full back and they have a bit of time on the ball in order to pick out a pass. It does have structural problems throughout the team that they have to try to deal with. You have to work out whether his individual brilliance is good enough to cover for that. But if you look at all those Champions League games, it hasn't been in those games. And there's also another, as I kind of warm up on this point, that when Messi things start to go against Barca in these games, Messi has, it's hurt him personally so bad, and all around Barcelona there's been a feeling of that it's been so depressing, or it's been so bad, like, is this happening to us again? Are we losing again in these big Champions League games? And Messi hasn't been able to. He's been, even more than anybody else, has appeared to feel that kind of fatefulness, or the idea that everything is going against him and he's unable to turn it around. And the team themselves, if they see that not even Messi seems like he's going to be able to get us out of this one, then they themselves, whether they, not that they give up, but just that they feel that no matter what they do, that it's not going to be enough. And, oh no, we've been knocked out of Europe in an embarrassing way yet again.
So this kind of almost might reset the tables, obviously provided if it happened, but, kind of in the Champions League a little bit. It might, in a weird small way, potentially benefit them, in the later rounds of the Champions League where they've struggled in recent years.
Yeah, if they can rebuild a team with new players or a new coach and can rebuild. If you just take Messi out of the team and have the same team that, if you replace him with, for argument's sake, Coutinho in the team, I think they will have a lot of the same problems again. And as well, Coutinho is not going to be the best at that pressing and winning the ball back. But if you have Messi in the team, you don't have the flexibility to completely change your tactics, completely change your setup to play a different type of football, because you are, with him in the team, restricted in a way that there are only certain types of systems that you can play. Without him, you might be able to come up with a better system which suits the rest of the players that you have. And you don't lose 4-1 or 8-2 or whatever it is in the second leg of the Champions League.
You said how he actually maybe kind of limits them tactically, which is, very interesting to me, because you kind of got that sense with Real Madrid, and you saw that kind of when he went to Juventus. They don't really have as much tactical freedom, and they've actually gotten worse, Juventus, under Ronaldo. Do you think that's also another reason that Barcelona might actually benefit a little bit, is they will have the ability to kind of play any system that they want, and they won't kind of be inhibited by his lack of mobility?
Yeah, it's definitely a potential benefit. And it is interesting to look at something else I've just been thinking about, that Ronaldo has gone to Juventus, and in the Champions League, he personally, has scored the goals in the big games against Ajax. I guess we can say 2 seasons ago now, they got knocked out, but he scored in both the legs, I think, against Ajax. Then this season, it was him against Lyon who whacked that ball into the top corner and almost got them back into the game. So, he can look at it and go, I'm doing my best here. It's these guys who are letting me down. Whereas maybe a more systematic look at the team would say, as you're saying, that with Ronaldo in the team, we're constrained in different ways or limited in different ways. And all we can do is hope that he's going to be able to pull us out of it. But the rest of the team are not going to be able to do it, because they're doing the extra work that they need to do to cover the limitations in his game as well. And again, it's very hypothetical to think about, okay, you take Messi out and then you rebuild it, and what do you do? And you have to make sure that you do that rebuild very well. For sure, it's not just a case that you sell Messi and then you stick with what you have and you see how it goes. But in order to rebuild the team and to get the team back to the very, very highest level again, maybe, and again, it's an argument that you can make, that the only way that you're going to be able to start that rebuilding process is to move on from Messi, which was going to always happen at some stage. And now, because the mood around the club and everything, or the relationship with him is so bad, that the rebuild just can't start until he leaves. That is an argument that I'm sure some at Barcelona are making right now as we speak.
Yeah, I mean, we should mention he is 33 years old. I mean, this season he only played 44 games. Can we really expect him to keep up his current form, over the course of 2 or 3 years? Like, should we think that's possible?
Probably not. I was writing, you're persuading me here as we go along in the conversation, but a couple of months ago I was writing with some of my colleagues on The Athletic, with Tom Warville and Michael Cox, just looking back over Messi's career it was like the 10 different areas in which he was the best in the world. And that made me revisit, some of his superb performances and some of the stats from previous on in his season or from previously in his career. And he was better than he is now. And I've written plenty of times that, he's changed his game. He's adapted to take the role of Xavi in the midfield. He's become club captain. He's doing all these things that he hasn't done before. But he doesn't have that amazing impact to just go and decide a game on his own that he had before, scoring 4 goals in a game.
Years ahead of Arsenal in their ability and the way that they win the ball back.
It could be through for a fourth here, Lionel Messi. They're trying to contain him, but it's an impossible task. This man is just unstoppable. 4 for Barcelona, 4 for Messi, and they are in the last 4.
He's been very good for Barcelona this year, but he's just not physically as electric as he used to be. He's gained in some ways, but he's lost in other ways as well. And that's only going to continue into the future as we go. And this season is going to be a really weird season, the 2020-21 season, because it's all scrunched up. Again, the calendar games are going to come thick and fast all the time. The following year, the World Cup's going to be in the middle of the season as well, which is going to be another, who knows really what's going to happen over the next couple of years. But it's not going to allow for, whatever happens, it's not going to make it easy for Messi to perform at every game at his very top level. He's going to have to manage it at some stage. He did have injuries. He was injured in the autumn. It took him a while to start for the season. Then around February time or so, he was carrying a calf injury. I'm pretty sure from what people have told me, the break for the coronavirus allowed him to get back to 100% fitness, and he looked very good in some of the games. But again, he wasn't able to pull Barca through because of all the other problems in the team, and arguably because they were still looking to him to resolve all their problems for them, it wasn't enough for Barca. So yeah, his best days are definitely behind him. He's still a very, very good player, but he's, well, it sounds pretty harsh, but he's going to become a less useful player into the future. He's not going to become a more useful player for any team.
Okay, so we've talked for quite a while about the reasons that Barca might want to sell Messi and how it might benefit them. If you were Bartomeu, what would you do? Do you think they should sell him? And if not, at what price should they?
It's a super difficult question to answer. I think, from talking to, this is my own personal opinion, but from talking to a lot of people who know Bartomeu and who know the club, Bartomeu would be very happy to sell him for 200 million, just to throw that out there. It wouldn't even be a decision that he would have to think about, or the decision is already made that if we can get that amount of money, we would sell him. If you get down to 100 million, you may be caught a little bit betwixt and between in that it's not enough money to really solve all the financial problems at the club. And now you don't have Messi anymore to score you the goals on the pitch. But somewhere between that 100 and 200, you get into that stage where somewhere between 100 and 200 is the magic figure where it becomes worthwhile for Barcelona to sell Messi. Exactly where it is, I'm not sure. Letting him leave for free, or if he was able to leave for free, would not be good for them for sure. But there is a price, I think it's fair to say, at which it does start to make sense for Barca to let Messi go and to then get on with trying to rebuild the club and rebuild the team without him.
For more coverage of Messi, Barcelona, and La Liga, you can follow Dermot Corrigan on The Athletic. The music for this episode was provided under the Creative Commons license by Blue Dot Sessions, and you can find more information about those music tracks in our episode description. This episode was produced by John McKenzie. I'm Josh Schneider-Weiler, and thanks for listening to Football Today. And before you go, if you're a fan of the show and would like to support us, please sign up to our Patreon page, where you'll get access to bonus episodes and extra content. And if you can't spare the cash, please tell a friend instead. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.